Welcome along to Friday Forum Live. We are once again broadcasting to you direct from Point Blank Music School here in East London, where today I'm joined in the studio by producer, Point Blank tutor and Ableton expert Freddy. Mr. Freddy Frogs is going to be giving us a bit of an insight into Live 9.1 and also taking us through some of the techniques of sampling and multi-sampling. So Freddy is here to give us a bit of an insight into the latest version of Live, version 9.1, and to talk us through some of the features and the techniques behind sampling. As always, Friday Forum is also your chance to get involved, so all of you guys watching at home, make sure you get posting up in the YouTube chat room, and we will do our best to answer all the questions as they come through. Just before we get into the session itself, I've got to give you a quick rundown of what's been going on here at Point Blank this week. So first of all, we have our new term of study. The new term here at Point Blank London gets underway this Monday, and we're down to just, I think, less than 10 spaces left on the courses. So if you do want to come here and study with us, make sure you get onto pointblanklondon.com and get signed up, or send us an email and get in touch with one of the course advisors. Also, I have to say that we've just launched a brand new competition, a YouTube competition for your chance to win a sub fatty. If you sign up to the YouTube channel and subscribe before October the 7th, then you're automatically entered within the chance to win the comp. So head over to our YouTube channel and make sure you subscribe. Finally, we also have the full range of online courses getting underway in just a few weeks' time, October the 14th, for the full range of Point Blank online courses. So just head over to pointblankonline.net and you can find out more info. And also, I should say that this Sunday we have the Ableton user group, the meetup, with Freddy as well. So probably time to bring you in, Freddy. Give us a bit of background on the Ableton meetup and what you're doing this Sunday.
That's about the fourth one we're organising. It's been going really well, and this time around we're looking at a live performance using Push. So how Push can be integrated into electronic live performances, as in actually writing melodic stuff on the fly. Yeah.
And it's something that you've integrated into your...
Yeah. I've been using the Push for my live sets for a while now as a user mode, so it's like a complete sort of remappable surface. Yeah. It's just like another controller, really. It's quite good controller, and expensive. But this time we've integrated, we used to use a keyboard to do the bass and the melodies, and obviously the obvious thing to do was to involve Push in there.
Yeah.
So much more control. We used to have a looper to actually capture our stuff live, and obviously now it's all gone, MIDI clip recording on the fly and jamming between the clips you've recorded. It's awesome, quantizing on the fly.
Yeah.
I just can't tell you how much the live set went from here to there with that. Yeah, it's an interesting live set we do with my colleague Nick, who's teaching at the college as well.
Yeah.
It's about 10 different controllers there. Each controller is kind of in one instrument, and we go around and change. He does the drums one moment, he does the drums, I do the melodies, and we go around the table and have a lot of fun. It's total improvisation. Nothing is written ahead. We wanted to make a live set that has as much live into it as possible, as in we're not triggering any loops at all. All the drum sequencing is done on the fly. We're using a lemur, and all the melodies now with Push, and we got loads of slicing vocals and stuff. Yeah, it's really exciting. Every time we played at a festival last weekend, it went really well.
Cool.
I mean, once the technical issue had been brushed out, it went okay eventually. Yeah. So we're going to demo that on Sunday. We'll do it in such a way that everyone can actually join in. So as I said, it's about 10 controllers. So we're going to have we're going to demo one controller, and then a pair of people is going to just jump on that controller, and we're going to probably end up jamming quite a lot. It's a lot of fun doing this.
That's cool. So it's really interactive.
Yeah, this is what we're trying to do with the user group. Always do it as interactive as possible. We have lecturers, we have people coming in to do demos. Like we had our friend from Isotonic who went and did some Max for Live demos, and we're trying to change every time. But I think the performance is always very interesting to see. There's loads of production tutorials online, and I think a little performance on the user group is quite fresh, and it involves everyone,
Yeah,
so that's what we're trying
definitely.
to do.
And I know that you recently featured in Sound on Sound. Can you give us a bit of background?
Well, what to say? I just got a call from a mate yesterday saying, "Have you seen the latest Sound on Sound?" And I was like, "Well, no." He was like, "Well, your stuff's in there." I said, "Surely you get it wrong, mate. Surely it's someone else." And then some other guy calls me and goes, "You seen the Sound on Sound?" I'm like, "No." Well, now you're the second person I should check. So I went and checked, and they've reviewed my album, saying a whole lot of good things, as in,
wicked.
you know, high standard producing, indeed. A mile ahead of the others, like, oh wow! So I'm over the moon.
Fantastic.
It's really nice.
Cool,
it's probably
man.
the best review I've ever had in my life. Really
and from
happy.
a pretty good publication as well. You know?
For coming from these guys, I mean, it's going to be one of the most read music magazine in the world, I
Most
guess.
definitely.
So it's really cool. Yeah, really
cool,
soft.
man.
Really soft. I think it's going to be a party time this weekend. Celebration has to be done. I'm actually working at a college. That doesn't prevent.
Well, you know, talk us a little bit about what you're going to be doing today.
Yeah, when I was asked to do the forum this week, I looked at a few angles, and one question that's been coming back at me recently is multi-sampling. A lot of students still don't wrap their head around multi-sampling. So instead of diving right into multi-sampling, I'll take it from the ground up, show you what sampling is, what are the limitations around sampling. I love sampling. I mean, I'm a sample maniac. Okay, so I sample with my phone, I sample with records, like my favorite is vinyls, obviously. I kind of wanted to bring a vinyl player and record it from scratch and show you the whole process, but not so many people have vinyl players anymore and stuff, so I think I wanted to make it as relevant as possible. So we're just going to take it from the ground up, and we'll end up showing you what is multi-sampling and how we can take it or turn it to our advantage in terms of producing, really. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's have a look.
Shall we go? Okay, cool.
Let's do it.
So as I said, I sample from everywhere. This could be your own vocals. This could be any sound you hear in the street. This could be TV, internet, sort of anything you want really is sampleable. So sampling is, you know, somehow it's a bit like a synthesizer, isn't it? Yeah. It works in the same way, in the sense that once the sound has been generated, you can craft it, you can filter it, you can change its shape, its texture, everything. Synthesizers would produce the sound raw from an oscillator, while the sampler, you load the sound, and that's your raw sound you start crafting from. So in 2 words, let's have a look quickly how this goes. So, you know, you could record your vocals that way. Let me just show you quickly. So I'm just going to grab my vocals. I'm not going to sing. Don't run away, people. I'm just going to do something here. I better stop the drums while I do that. Ooh. I did sing, didn't I? So I said I wouldn't. Good, and that's pretty much that, okay? So I've got this little sample. Okay, so you could use that as audio, but you'd be pretty limited if you were to use that as audio, because audio format has its limitation. I mean, as producers, we need to constantly bounce between audio and MIDI. That's our bread and butter, and one of the most important techniques young producers should try and master is how to jump from MIDI to audio and vice versa, yeah? So how do we go from audio to MIDI? Well, as simple as that. Look, I'm going to crop that clean, okay? Before sampling, I think essentially you should always clean the samples, yeah? So this could go through some noise reduction using maybe RX, isotope RX, for example, or Wave if you have them. And then a little bit of EQ should almost always be needed. A good idea as well I found is before you load it into the sampler, that sound, you need to stretch it to fit the timeline, really. That's just something you can't do. Ooh, why is it jumpy like that? That's something you can't really do once it's in the sampler. So a good idea is to stretch it first, so it actually fits the tempo of your track, in this case 125. Once you've EQ'd it a little bit, so it's getting a little bit wobbly because I haven't got the right algorithm yet. A lot of people tend to overlook the algorithm, and if you hear, can you hear the difference there? Beats? Sounds rubbish. With Complex Pro? Yeah, we're getting a much better sound. So if you want to print the EQing you've done, plus the stretching and the algorithm, so that the sound actually, the file actually, you can print all these things onto it, so the file actually sounds just like you hear it now, but the effects don't need to be there anymore. So it's like printing, rendering, bouncing, different names for it. Just the quickest way to do that in Ableton is obviously right-click on the track's name, freeze, right-click again, flatten. Okay, it's something as rendering in video or whatever. And now you see the effect has been taken off and the sound is now clean. So I'm going to load it into a sampler. So by default, my MIDI channels do come with a sampler that's actually bypassed, so it doesn't drag any CPU away from my computer. I almost always need that or something else, but that was the way for me to set up the level of my channel by default. You have to load an instrument onto it in order to be able to, on the MIDI channel, to be able to raise or lower your channel's volume as default. So all I had to do now is simply click on the clip and drag it into Simpler. So Simpler is, as its name implies, a simple sampler. And you can trim the sample start point and end point here if you wanted to. And then the magic happens. You can actually now trigger an audio file via a MIDI pattern, so MIDI notes. On Sampler, we have to use what we call the root key, which is C3, okay? That's the default root key for Simpler, you can't change that. A root key, you could say in sampling words, is the original pitch and length of the sound, really. If you want to play the sound just like it was initially recorded, like so, you play it on C3. Now the magic happens when you, so you can really start messing around with your, so it doesn't almost sound like, my vocal anyway. So that's pretty cool. A bit like a sound you'd hear in
hip-hop track.
Yeah, or what's his name? Flying Lotus type sort of creepy sort of sound. You know, a bit little weird like that. So the magic happens in the sampler. You can do so much once the sound is in there. Two angles to take. You can either try to reproduce a natural instrument and try to basically play it. Play it as it came, or you could completely transform it so it actually doesn't sound anywhere near what it was originally like. So there's many angles to be taken. It's magic. You never know what's going to come out of it. And my advice to people that are not acquainted to sampling, like anything with music production, load the sound into the sampler, trigger it with a MIDI note, tweak everything. Don't try to think what you're doing. Just tweak all these dials and listen to what's happened. You're gonna hit some interesting beat, some interesting moments. I mean, I've got this drum beat coming in. So what I can do with sampling is looping it. Okay, so looping it is happening on the left corner here. Okay, there. All right, and you can set up the looping area there somehow, you know. I'm gonna sample, I'm gonna loop a short part here. So you can basically create a sustain to your sound when there wasn't any. Classic trick, you know, in music production, a lot of you know about this, but it's all about finding the right point. And then you can automate a bit of LFO on it to give it a bit of vibe maybe. Just making up as I go here, guys. I don't know what's going to... Bit of a click and raise the attack here. Bit of a click still. That's when the loop comes around. So I could eventually, you know, bypass that with a little bit of longer length here. So yeah, you can really come up with some really interesting sounds really quickly. It's a lot of fun. You don't have to... And that could be a big, nice sort of backdrop for my beat. Just with my vocal like that in 2 secs, yeah. We could also go on the internet and grab any sound. There's one website I love. It's the Free Sound Project.
Yeah.
Everyone out there, get onto the Free Sound Project. You log in, it's free.
Yeah.
You have to have a Gmail account for some reason. And you log in, it's free. Once you're logged in, you find anything, any sound. So sound design people, field recordings. So let's say, okay, look, give me a sound you can hear anywhere in the street, anywhere, any sound.
Let's say a dog barking.
All right,
something that we hear daily with Scruffy the office dog.
And you see, I type dog barking and there we go. Okay, sorry about that.
Pretty loud.
Yeah, that's a big dog. And you know, Yeah, anyway, I think the first one that comes down. You enter the sound, you can download it for free. Often it's WAV. Yeah, this one is WAV. It's super quality sound, and it's free of royalties. I mean, people are posting their field recordings for you to grab. Anything you want. And since, with what we've just seen with sampling, I mean, the world is yours after, you load it into a sample. Anything is possible. What's the name of that sound? There it is. Cool. So I'll do the same thing I just did. I'm going to go a bit quicker through it, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to grab part of the sound here and crop it. This is not what I meant to do. I hit the wrong button here. Yeah, I like taking the grid off when I choose the length of my loop here, so I'm free of movement, okay? So Command 4 is the grid to take the grid off. Again, I'm going to sort of like tighten up the timing a touch here with a bit of stretching, all right? And always, Complex Pro when you're stretching stuff sounds better. Yeah, why not? Cool. As always, a little cleaning with the EQ, maybe a little denoising if you need to. It doesn't hurt, okay? It's quite needed. Okay, freeze flatten, so you can print the EQ onto the EQ you've just done onto the clip, load your sampler, load the sound into it, go for it. And I mean, I don't know what's the pitch of that dog, and that's often an important question when sampling, because you're sampling a sound that has definitely some kind of pitch to it. Yeah. But as I said, the root key is C3, yeah? So there's an issue here. You're writing a C3 note to play the pitch, the original pitch of the sound.
It could be different. It could be something completely different.
But maybe that dog is not singing on C. So, the classic way to try to find out. Don't know why, I feel that this note here kind of hits the spot for me. And it's a C. Well,
there you go.
but don't trust me. I might be wrong. Bit random. It could be a C, but the principle remains the same. I mean, you really need to find out the pitch of your the initial pitch of your sound. So to actually compensate, because we are using C as a root key. So let's imagine, I didn't choose that sound, I chose it randomly. Let's imagine the dog is singing on D, or E actually. Yeah, and I would have to compensate using the transpose here in the sampler. So if it's on D, for instance, I need to drop it by 2 semitones. Yeah. So actually it's now a C. Okay, I need to match the root key. This is something a lot of people tend to not fully understand. So that's well and good. I could do anything I want with that sound now. You see, the free sound project's a great source of inspiration. I almost always start my songs with samples. I just love it.
That's a good way to find the initial inspiration for a track.
There's a vibe, there's a tuning to it, there's a vibe about it. It can give you a really good sense of direction, and it's very important that when you start a track to have some kind of idea, some kind of concept that you follow through, otherwise you can quickly get sidetracked and everything. Now, what I think is that these days, with all them new tools we have, I mean, we have all sorts of amazing technology available, but I think music technology or production comes, all my tracks anyway, comes with experimenting. It's all about letting it go, thinking out of the box, rig things, plug things into each other, see what comes out of it. It's really the best way to, in my opinion, to approach producing. Now, there's a technique called multi-sampling that tends to not be used as much as it used to, like 20, 15 years ago. We used to multi-sample everything. Nowadays, we have a lot of sample libraries and even sampler libraries for Kontakt, for everything. So people, I say, tend to be lazy in that respect. Not many people go through the trouble of creating a multi-sample instrument. This is what I want to show you now. Sampling is pretty straightforward, so let's have a look at multi-sampling. The reason for behind multi-sampling is this, Pips. Look, if I play that dog sound at its initial pitch, it's fine. If I go further up the pitch, let's say an octave higher, the pitch does go up, but you could, the speed, the tempo, the playback speed is much higher, much quicker. That's at lower pitch. So it's much longer. All right, so that's fine if you're just trying to sound design that sound. But as I said earlier on, sampling is often about trying to reproduce a natural instrument. with this limitation of the tempo changing with sampling, we can't really use a single sample like so. So this is why multi-sampling comes into play. We are going with multi-sampling, we're going to capture the sound of that instrument or that synthesizer. If someone lends you a synthesizer for 3 days, he's on holiday, he's giving you his fat, so what's the one you're giving away?
The Sub-Fatty.
Sub-Fatty, your mate's lending you a Sub-Fatty for 3 days. You have 3 days to make the most of it. What are you going to do? You're going to sound design the sound. When you're happy with the texture, you're going to multi-sample it. So what does it consist in? Is capturing that sound at different pitches.
Yes.
C-1, E-1, C0, E0, C1. And then the
so
further
you have
up
more
you
to
go,
work with.
so you capture the sound at many different pitches. And the result of that, if you look at any sort of sampler instrument in Ableton Live, look, if I look at a preset in Ableton Live, okay, we go for guitar, for instance, just making it up there. And I'm going to load one of the sampler preset. That's a multi-sampler instrument, okay? That's sampler. It's not simpler. We just looked at simpler. That's sampler. The main difference between the two is that sampler will take many samples. You can load as many samples as you want in it. So if you open the zone tab here, you'll notice all the samples that have been loaded in there, okay? So that's quite a few. Let me load a piano. Actually, I do have a piano here. Look, that's also a multi-sample instrument. Quite comprehensive. Look, there's many different little instruments. That would take a lot of space on your project, by the way, because there's loads of samples in there. Let me open that. One question that's come a lot actually online is, what do I do with this? Why does it say multi-sample mode here? I can only see a simpler as far as I can tell. And that's a bit of a trick. You need to right-click on the name of the sampler and use the simpler sampler function. So what Ableton does is quite clever. It's a multi-sample instrument, but they want to make it as user-friendly as possible. So they turn it into a simpler so that only the basic dies, the basic parameters are accessible. If you do want to dig in it and actually go further down, you can actually enable the sampler, and if you do so, that's it. Now you can see the real thing. It's it's a multi-sample. Look, there are all the samples needed to create an instrument. Look, there's about 50 of them, or maybe less, 25, 30 of them. That's just one little sampler. So to get some kind of like really nice sort of sound, okay? And no matter how high or how low I go in the pitch, it doesn't matter. The stretching or the compressing that we heard in the simpler earlier on, that doesn't happen anymore because we're actually triggering different samples. And if you look closely at this piano range here, look, each of the sample there has been spread over around 3 keys. So the stretching and the compressing that happens over 3 keys is negligible. We can live with that. Let me just go and look at the sample I was just actually playing right now, if I can. Cool. Oh yeah, I'm on a fixed scale here. Let me take the scale off. Did I? No, I didn't. There I am. Cool. Let's do this now. So that sample I'm playing here is spread over 3 keys. That's the same sample. That's the root key, and that's 1 semitone higher and 1 semitone lower. That's negligible. You can't hear the difference. So every time, around every 3 keys, I'm actually triggering a new sample. So we've gone around the limitation of that stretching and the compressing that was seriously annoying on a single sample. So that's well and good, So that explains a little bit why we're multi-sampling and how we're multi-sampling. So I decided to make this as practical, as relevant as I could for you guys out there. So a question, often recurrent question is, how can I make the most out of my sample libraries you get from like Loopmaster or whatever. And using the samples you get from your looping library, your sample library, as they come as a single audio file, I personally think is useful when you're starting producing. It helps you to recognize the type of sounds that go well together, and stuff, but you're quite limited.
Yeah.
And also everybody else has that. It's not very satisfying. So I truly advise everyone to, as soon as you get the grip of how sounds and loops are made, make your own one. Don't go and use sample libraries. You're going to get bored really quickly. In the long run, you should really look at creating your own samples. And this is why I'm going to show you what I'm going to show you. What can I keep here? Where's that sound I made? Yeah, I'm just going to keep that sound there, all right? And I'm going to carry on from scratch now. So I've got two samples I've got from some... One is the recording from my kids' toys. Okay, so I took his little marimba thing and I recorded that. And I also have a recording we did in the studio, which sounds a bit like that. Let me just load it in as audio now, and we can play it to you. It's a tuba sample that we recorded in the studio. So you could use sample libraries, but it's, what's got to be remembered is it's important that you should be able to separate every note of a sample of an instrument away from each other. So you need to separate each note. If it's a chord, like a guitar chord, it won't work. You need a single note, and then you'll make the chord afterwards. Do you get me?
Yeah.
So you can't sample chords, but once you spread it over the keyboard, it ain't gonna work because, well, chords need to be either major or minor or major as you go up the pitch. So that's not possible. Well, with single monophonic sounds, that's gonna work. So this is why that sound is pretty good for that. Listen to that. The starting point here. Yeah, you get that. So it's a tuba sample. So let's make it our own. Okay. So far I've got these different notes here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pick the best sounding notes out of that, and we'll then build the multi-sample instrument with it. Let's listen to that. Okay. So I get the first one. You notice how I took the grid off, command 4, so that I can actually place my little orange marker exactly where I want. Command E will split that away from the rest. Okay. So I'm just going to split single notes away. Okay, so I've got two new notes here. Yeah, you need to choose different notes every time. Okay. Okay. Good idea to change its color here, so you can actually recognize which one you actually do want to keep. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
You're following me?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
All right, let me just listen to it again. I think, you know what, these two notes are slightly better sounding than the ones I just took. Okay, choose the best sounding notes. Remember, if there's lots of articulation, I would say, sort of expression in the sounds. Let's say a bass is slapped sometimes it's stroked. The different articulation expression will matter enormously, because if you spread these notes across the keyboard, it will sound slightly different. One's going to have a bit more slap, one is going to be duller. Try to get some sounds that are quite identical in terms of texture and expression. Okay, I love that one.
Yeah.
you gotta take that one. Cool. Oh, I think that's a different one there again. So I'm just going to split that away as well. So I'm extracting a few notes out of there, making sure that they are different notes. Oh, I like the long one, the high one there. It's going to be a good one, that one. Command E and Command E. Okay, I think I've got a few notes here. I'm not going to go further down. You could grab a few more. The more notes you have, like, the better the instrument's going to be, you know. But right now, I mean, we don't have all day, so. What I was trying to say earlier on is that, you know, experimentation, taking the time to set up such an instrument, it's going to take you half an hour. But this is going to yield, always going to yield very interesting results, you know. And it's your own instrument, it's your own technique, it's your sound, it's satisfying, and it's also versatile. You'll see afterwards how interesting this will be. Because at the moment, with that audio file, I was restricted with whatever the tuba player had played. So what I want is get free from that and be able to rewrite my own melody with this. So what I've done here, I've separated all the sounds. Now I've actually regrouped them onto a consolidating with the consolidate function. I'm going to bring that back to the session view, and I'm going to use this brand new function we have, convert melody to new MIDI track. Quite convenient. Before that function was implemented in live, I had to take a piano, like I did with the dog earlier on.
Right.
I had to take a piano and try to, by ears, try to locate the pitch of every single sound. Well, that's no need anymore. Listen, that's the original sound. Okay, and now I can play the conversion. Well, it seems like I had two identical notes. Is that right? No, it didn't get that right, did he?
There we go.
And the last one is a bit wobbly. Yeah, that sounds cool. So that's the notes of these individual sounds, all right? Back to my single notes here, single files. I'm now going to load the sampler. So I'm going to go and grab into instrument and grab sampler. Don't grab any preset, grab where it says sampler. That's your default sampler, okay? And so I'm going to load that onto the track here, right there. Okay, so I've got my notes. I'm just going to grab them all, like so. Multi-select with Shift, and click, hold, and drag into the sampler. You'll find all your different notes or sounds here now, into these zones, they're called, okay? I was able to drag them all in at once. In the same order, I had actually analyzed them with the convert to MIDI function. Quite convenient. Now I know the root key for each of these sounds. D sharp, A sharp, A sharp. So I'm going to go to my tuba. First one up is D sharp, I said. So I'm going to go D sharp on the root key right there. I'm going to show you where that is, yeah? Yeah. Right there, and you bring it up to D sharp. So now you're matching the actual pitch of the sound with the root key. Very important little function, that. Cool. Back here, what did I say? A sharp twice, yeah? A sharp twice. And let's go for it. Second one is A sharp up the scale, and the other one is A sharp down the scale. Right there. Next. F, G sharp, D. And back here, F is up, isn't it? Yeah. What did I say? F, G sharp? G sharp, D. G sharp, D. My memory is going. There we go. That's it. So you find now that, you see this little R icon on these green stems here? Well, you see they've all been spread across the keys now. At the moment as it stands, if I were to trigger any of these keys, and I should be able to do that here. If I were to trigger any of the keys, I would trigger all the samples. Yeah. But there goes the trick. You multi-select these zones here using Shift. You right-click here, and there's a really convenient little function here called Distribute Range around root key. Check these little green guys on the side. Look at what happens when I hit that. Whoa. That's the magic of multi-sampling. All the sounds have now been spread across the keyboard, so each single file you see now is spreading over two single notes, so two single keys, apart from the two bottom and top one, which are actually spread out a lot more. But I've got a reduced range. I can't just play the whole keyboard, because obviously it's going to sound a little bit stretched towards a... Okay, let's hope this is worked. Sometimes you have to go back to it, but I'm going to fix the key to... What was the first note? Oh, it doesn't matter. It was D. Aha, here you go. And I'm going to go lower down. So I've made myself a playable tuba. Yeah. I can hear a good bass line there, can't you? Yeah, yeah. Cool. Once it's in the sampler, I mean, the world is yours, really. What can you do? I mean, sampler is a lot more powerful than simpler. You can do so much to it. It's quite scary. First thing I want to do is the looping. You remember I showed you the looping earlier on? Yeah, that's pretty cool. So what we'll do, we'll enable basically these short sounds. It's a short sound. I'm going to enable it to have sustain now. I'm going to enable that loop point here and the braces. I'm going to go for a looping point here somewhere and fade it. I'm not looking at the right sample here. That's cool. I'm going to do it for all of them, So there we go. You can also trim the start point and everything, so everything is neatly working if you want to in that window. I'm just going to grab one cycle. You see the cycle here? I'm just grabbing one cycle here. Doesn't always work, but you know, I'm sound designing. I'm not trying to reproduce the tuba anymore. We've proven already that was easy. We're just going to use that as a sound design, you know, now. So just going to try to work out some looping point. You get that now. That's the ones I haven't yet looped.
Yeah.
Bit gritty. I don't think it has what it takes to give me the sub I need, but so I'm just going to remove the bottom end anyway. Yeah, I'm just going to keep its grit around 300 to 500 hertz there. It's got a really gritty thing about it. It's pretty cool. This could give us a nice flavor. The one function I really like in the sampler is this oscillator thing here. It's got basically it's got a built-in oscillator. It's like hybrid synthesizer sampler, if you may. This oscillator can be layered with the original sound. So let's say I play on E. What was the notes I chose here already? Oh, C. Okay, well let's just change the root key here. It's a bit low down there. I'm going to use that one. Cool. I'm going to play it on C now. And I can raise that oscillator volume here. Now you're blending an oscillator into the sample.
Yeah.
That's an FM one.
See, that's the hybrid coming in.
That's right.
Yeah.
You like that. Okay, it's a little bit sort of phasing. I can go for an analog modeling. I quite liked it as it was on FM.
Yeah, I quite like that.
Yeah, change the waveform if you wanted. It's brighter. Cool. What I like to do as well is make the glide happen. I really like that. Now that I've got a sustained sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're starting to get some nice expression here. Let's play a bit about with the filter. What's cool about the push is got this aftertouch, you know? So I can send aftertouch into the filter. So now, the harder I press on the push, a little bit of expression here. Quite cool, yeah. Let's just record it. I'm going to try something for you.
Yes, please do.
This is pretty live. I'm going to try to do the new melodic step sequencer for that, okay?
Okay.
I'm not sure how this is going to go, Pips. Let's try. So I've got about, let's do it over 2 bars here. And I've got this brand new sort of sequencer here. I'm not sure how this is going to go, guys. Okay, that's worked. Kind of. Okay, I've chosen a note here that hasn't got the loop enabled. Well, I'll do that for the next one because I'm not sure with the bass I'm going to work it out just right here. So let's just do it the normal way, and we do the step sequencing in a minute. Okay, that'll do just for now. squelchy.
Yes, pretty squelchy.
I like it there. Bit of quantization maybe. Cool. Layering a bit of a sub underneath that would be a must. Since I've got a really gritty sound, I need some meat underneath. So I just took the same clip here, the MIDI clip, and I'm just going to load some kind of operator patch here. Let's hear that now. Quite like it there. Not that bassy though. Give it a sub. You get it now. I'm gonna use it as a analog synth. Yes, I'm starting to have a bit more blend between these two guys. I mean, I obviously would like to sound design this a bit further, but for now it'll work. And I'll just blend them a little bit better with a bit of glue, yeah? Now I'm going to show you the whole process again. I've got this kind of melody going on. Not great that bass, but hey. It's not a little bit late there, obviously. Yeah, cool. That'll do for now anyway, yeah. I'm going to show you a bit more about multi-sampling now, because I don't want to lose too much time with that. I'm going to get that that melodic thing I got earlier on. Let's have a look. Yeah, this, okay? So that's I'm quite into this one since I actually recorded it myself. And if my kid is watching, he's going to be well happy to have his toys in there. Yeah, my toy's famous. Right, kid. Okay, so it's actually one loop, yeah? Repeating. So I'm just going to get rid of the rest, all right? I'm going to try to go quickly through that. Okay, I've got 4 sounds. All right? So I'm just going to do the same thing, get the grid off the way, and clean this up a little bit. It's much easier than the tuba because there's only 4 sounds in there. Oops, I did that a little too sharp. Right there, okay, 4 sounds. This would definitely need cleaning, by the way. I should have done that before. I started cutting it, but that's fine for now. Good, so that's the initial sound. I'm going to again analyze it with the convert melody to new MIDI track. Makes life much easier. Let's have a look here. What we got from it. Okay, so that's the pitch of that sound, and it says these 4 notes, all right? So once again, load a brand new sampler in there, and down, voila. Just gonna grab these 4 sounds, load them into that sampler over here, drop, okay? Go to the zones. First zone at the top will be the first note here, which says F sharp, then go to A sharp, okay? So F sharp up to A sharp, F and A sharp. Let me just grab my melodic thing again. Where is it? There you go. Cool, so first zone is, what did I say? F. Look, A or F? I said F, you're right.
F.
You're following, that's good, that's good, that's good. No,
I'm trying my best.
Well, you're doing fine. Thanks a lot for that. A sharp, D sharp, C sharp. Alright, okay, that's the next one. D sharp all the way up there. And last one, C sharp. Alright. So now you see again the root keys have been spread out. I'm going to need now to spread their ranges. Shift click and select all the zones, right-click, distribute range around root key. That's the function you want, guys. I mean, you could do it without that. It would take you a little longer.
Yeah.
That's such a convenient little trick. And that's it. You can see now all the notes have been spread along the keyboard. Shall we hear how this sounds? Fingers crossed. I got the pitch. I got the pitch right. Ooh. Yeah, I'm on scale here. If I get the scale off the way. That's fine.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right. I must have got something wrong on the pitch. That's fine because I'm above. Now, one of them seems to be a little wrong here. What is that? F sharp, A sharp, D sharp, C sharp. Is that right? F sharp 3, sharp 3, 4, C sharp 3. Yeah, that should be okay. Yep, cool. And back to, oops, what have I done now? There. So back to my scale, I'm going to fix it in scale now. Fix to scale, and I went for C earlier on. Okay, so that's cool. Let's sound design this now. I got so much possibilities. It's quite staggering now what I can do with this. So it's just going to write, with this time try to write with the old step sequencer for the chord. Let's try that. Yeah, cool. Just making up as I go, I love that. So making chords like so, quite love it. Cool, it's really, really nice, that new chord.
Yeah.
I was hoping they would do that and they did it. This is just awesome. I love that stuff. Really cool. Come up with so many different variations, it's just scary, it's wicked, I'm loving it. Let's do a new one. One step too many. Just randomly tapping this. I much prefer the one before. Just gonna go back to that.
Yeah, the one before.
Cool, yeah. Could give a bit more movement to that bass line before we go anywhere. Just bring a bit of LA4 into the volume to give it a bit more. Cool.
Freddy, as we're approaching kind of time, I've just got a couple of questions.
Go on.
We got a question from Derek online who said, it's slightly off topic, but he's asked about, are there any good, have you got any recommendations for good chorus parameters to work with samples to help spread width and give them texture? So he said that,
I mean, chorus can be a simple tool, as you just described it. As in, yes, it adds width, it adds a little bit, it blurs a little bit the edges of the sound and creates a bit of a detuning effect. Now, the chorus enablement live, if you start digging it and looking at some of the more extreme setting, the sound is completely transformed. So you get really to approach to using chorus as a tool, or almost like a sound design tool.
Yeah.
Mixing tool, sound design tool. There isn't, I couldn't tell you a specific setting. It's truly depending on the sound you're working with. This has to be set for each sound individually. You can't really have a specific setting for that. I mean, you do lose energy, don't you, through chorusing. You do lose energy through your sound. You don't always want to make your sound wider. I mean, you've got to really consider really precisely if you want to stick to the middle or on the side for a sound. This can be good for certain sound, not good for other sounds. I mean, I use chorus on many different sounds. We could go for that bass line here. A classic trick, you see, is to split the bass line onto into different frequency range. You know that, yeah? So I've got here a audio effect rack with an EQ3. One of the chains going to have the bass, the other one's going to have the mids and the top. So that's my bassy part of the bass. That's the top part. And that's the part I would have a chorus on. Don't put a chorus on the bassy part. And you see, I've lost energy, but I've gained on texture somehow. And I could carry on emphasizing a little bit the smearing there is around the sound here with a bit of reverb as well. All right, plus the bass. Get a better balance here. Yeah, my yellow foot is not really groovy, baby. It's hard to make things groovy when you know many people are looking at you. When you're in the studio, like, yeah, that's groovy. Yeah, so chorus on the top part of your bass is an option, yes, definitely.
Okay. We've got another question from Alejandro, who's asked, when using the hybrid mode in sampler, does it automatically take the envelope from the sample?
No, it doesn't. The oscillator has its own envelope here, Alessandro, yeah? So, yeah, you could shape it in. So, so the oscillator comes in later, for instance, or straight at the start, like so. That way you can, almost like an FM synth, you can start morphing the texture over time.
And you have more control over it.
Yeah, so it will follow the pitch of your keys. So, you know, the sample and the oscillator will have the same pitch, but the envelope has to be set there. If you don't touch it, I mean, initially I think as default, I mean, it doesn't come like so, but as default, it should almost like be a sustained sound, I reckon.
Yeah.
But you can change that. Yeah.
Cool.
You can change that. Good question, Alexandro.
Okay, so Nick has asked, slightly off topic, but he's just asked about the software that we teach on at Point Blank. We teach mainly on Ableton and Logic, but we do have courses that slightly branch outside of that. For example, sound design looks at the Contact and Reactor, the Native Instruments stuff. Also, the kind of mastering course goes a bit beyond the kind of in-the-box plugins and stuff like that. But mainly we teach on those just because I think they tend to be the kind of industry standard stuff that we work with, I think, really. But yeah, there's also Cubase stuff online as well. So Nick, feel free to drop one of the course advisors an email if you do work with other software and you want to get a bit more information about what's on offer. So as we're kind of just approaching time, I think we're kind of, let's see if we've got any more questions, guys. I mean, to be honest, if we are going to, if we don't get through your questions, don't worry, because we are going to, you know, keep posting them up in the chat when we run through them towards the end of the session and afterwards as well. Let's have a quick look. Okay. So I think that's about it for the questions. As I say, guys, if you do think of anything else, feel free to post them in the chat room, and we will, you know, hand them over to Freddy to see if he can go through them at a later time. Anyway,
just a few words before we leave.
Yeah, go for it.
I've been on 9.1 for a few days here. That's Ableton's latest release.
Yes.
And I have to say it's really stable. Okay. I haven't had any crash at all. So no report from me to them. It's been really stable. I mean, they've already done 16 beta releases and fixed all the little bugs. It's probably very soon now released.
Yeah.
Great improvement. Dual screen.
Yes, that's the main thing I heard about.
Yeah, I wanted to do that here to show it to people, but because of the streaming system we have, we just couldn't implement it. But yeah,
you use it at home though.
Safe, yeah. Well, I had this spare screen I used with Logic for years, and I was like, oh, shame we can't do it with Ableton Live.
Yeah.
That's it. We can do it. As I just demonstrated quickly with the chord sequencing, that's awesome. Yeah, that's really awesome.
That looks like an amazing.
Didn't really work with that bass line. Well, on the synth it would work no problem, but because it was a sampler, some of the notes were not sustained. I didn't set the loop yet, so it didn't really work. But it does work really good for. I actually prefer it for bass line in a way.
Okay.
Because bass line is a rhythmic instrument, isn't it? And melodic, but because of that, the step sequencing suits a lot rhythm, doesn't it? So it does make sense to use it a lot for bass lines. It's also really good. There's a new rendering setup as well. Yeah, you can see your export audio video now. Look at that, guys. Ta-da! Okay. Right. So yeah, sample rate has been expanded. You can now really change the sample rate, and Ableton you can work at very high sample rate. And then as soon as you export, Ableton will do the conversion automatically for you to consumer sample rate 44.1. And it's got this like sort of algorithm thing that they are quite proud about, whereas no artifacts are created while downsampling. And basically that's one of the new features. Under the bonnet type of feature that actually is very important for the sound quality. A lot of old guard sort of producers slag Ableton Live for its sound. Get real, it's over. They're getting really good now. It's actually quite good. So that's it. So to wrap up this little sampling thing, guys. Two approaches to sampling. You either want to raw produce a natural sound faithfully, and then multi-sampling is probably the right angle to take. Or you're trying to sound design with a sound, you don't really, all you're interested in that sound is that texture, the timbre of the sound, and there everything is possible. You can craft it wherever way you want. In any case, when you're using sampling pips, always clean the sound before you load it into the sampler. EQing, compression, stretching. Very important. Once it's in the sampler, you won't be able to stretch it. It does make sense to stretch it to your tempo so that once it's in the sampler, it's actually already in time. The loop is going around in time for you. And remember, once you've done all this cleaning business, freeze flatten so that all the cleaning, even your algorithm, is actually printed onto the file. So once you bring the file into the sampler, it's clean, it's stretched properly, and it's ready to use. Secondly, the root key. Don't assume your sample is going to be on C. You need, with the piano like I did earlier on, or with the convert to melody function, you need to analyze the sound to find out what pitch it is. And once you've done that, you need to compensate with the transpose into your sampler so that it's actually matching the keys you're playing. Very important little concept. That's it. So sampling is a lot of fun. It
definitely.
Yields, it's experimentation. It sometimes doesn't work, man. But you've lost an hour trying to do something with it. But trust me, in most cases, you're gonna be able to
There's
shape.
Gonna be something in
you're
there.
gonna craft that. You're gonna shape. Oh, you wanted a musical instrument, or you ended up with a sound effect. Whatever. But whatever comes, it's a lot of fun. Trust me, it's a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, thanks for taking the time, Freddy. That was wicked. Guys, thanks for watching. Of course, this whole session will be archived straight away on the YouTube channel, so you can watch it all over again, and go into it a bit further. As always, keep locked to the Point Blank Facebook, the YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe to be entered in that comp, and we'll see you next week for another Friday Forum Live. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
Can I enter the comp? That was so funny.
You want one? Yes.